The cargo ship moved through the darkness of space like a tired bird. Captain Kang Daeho sat in his chair, watching the stars pass by his window. He had been flying this route for 20 years now. Same stops, same cargo, same empty conversations with station masters who barely remembered his name. His ship carried simple things: medical supplies, food packages, replacement parts for mining equipment. Nothing exciting. Nothing that would make him rich or famous. But it was honest work, and Daeho believed in honest work. The communication panel beeped. Daeho pressed the button without looking. Probably another delay notification or price change, but the voice that came through made him sit up straight. "Human vessel, this is Merchant Thurnus of the Valenti Trade House." The voice sounded wrong. It was shaking. Valenti never sounded scared. They were one of the old races, the wise ones who had seen galaxies rise and fall. "Thurnus, is that you?" Daeho leaned forward. He knew Thurnus. They had traded together for years. The Valenti had once helped him repair his ship when he was stranded near their home system. "Yes, old friend, I send this message to you and to all humans who might hear it." There was a long pause. "Our sun is dying. Our world will end in 3 months. The collective has voted. They will not help us. We fade into the dark. It was an honor to know humanity." The message ended. Daeho sat frozen in his chair. He stared at the communication panel like it might suddenly take back those words. The Valenti were dying. The collective would not help them. Daeho's hands started shaking. Not from fear, from anger, from something deeper than anger. He remembered his history lessons from school. Every human child learned about the Void Plague. It happened 156 years ago. A disease from deep space that spread through human colonies like fire through dry grass. Millions died in the first month. Billions were infected. The Galactic Collective had debated what to do. Most races said humanity should be quarantined. Let the plague burn itself out. It was the logical choice. The safe choice. But one Valenti physician named Elder Serenus had refused to accept that answer. She came to the human worlds when everyone else stayed away. She worked day and night in hospitals filled with dying people. She studied the plague until she understood it. Then she made the cure. But making it required something terrible. She had to infect herself with the plague to test it. The cure worked. Humanity was saved. Elder Serenus died 3 days later. The plague took her before the cure could save her own life. Every human knew her name. Every human world had a statue of her. Children were taught to say a blessing for Elder Serenus before meals. And now the Valenti needed help and the collective said no. Daeho pulled up his communication system. He sent Thurnus's message to every human contact he had. Then he sent it to the public networks. Within an hour, it was on every human world. The response was immediate. On New Busan Colony, Administrator Lee Hyun-woo called an emergency meeting. His council gathered in the small government building. They were simple people, farmers and engineers mostly. New Busan was not an important world. "You have all heard the message," Hyun-woo said. He was young for an administrator, only 32. His hands gripped the edge of the table. "The Valenti are dying. What do we do?" An old farmer named Grandpa Shin stood up. "We help them." "How is this even a question?" "The collective says it is impossible," said another council member. "Moving an entire species to new worlds would take years. Fixing a dying star is beyond anyone's technology." "I don't care what's impossible," Grandpa Shin said. His voice got louder. "My grandmother was saved by Elder Serenus's cure. My mother was saved. I was saved before I was even born. We owe the Valenti everything. Everything." The room erupted in agreement. Everyone was standing now, everyone was talking at once. Hyun-woo raised his hands for quiet. "Then we are decided. New Busan will pledge all our resources to help the Valenti. I will send this decision to Earth today." Across human space, the same scene repeated. Small colonies, big cities, space stations, mining outposts. Everywhere, humans said the same thing. "We must help. We owe them. We remember." On Earth, the Human Council met. Fleet Admiral Choi Minya sat at the long table with the other leaders. She was a hard woman, made harder by 40 years of military service. She did not smile often. She did not believe in wasting time on impossible dreams. But even she felt something stir in her chest when she read the reports. 2 billion humans have already volunteered, said the Secretary of Civilian Affairs. Engineers, doctors, pilots, construction workers. They want to go to the Valenti system. They want to help. Help with what? demanded the Secretary of Treasury. "We do not have technology to fix a dying star. We barely have enough ships to defend our own worlds." "Then we will find a way," said the Speaker of the Council. She was an old woman named Grandmother Kim. Everyone respected her. "I was 10 years old when the Void Plague came. I watched my parents die. I watched my friends die. Then Elder Serenus came. I remember her walking through our hospital. She looked so tired, but she never stopped working. She saved my life." Grandmother Kim stood up. Her voice was quiet, but everyone listened. "The Valenti taught us something when they saved us. They taught us that some things are more important than logic, more important than calculations of cost and benefit. They taught us that a life is worth saving even when it is hard, even when it is dangerous." I will not forget that lesson. Humanity will not forget. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would attempt to save the Valenti, no matter what it took. But one person was not in that meeting. He was far away in a small research station on the edge of human space. His name was Yoon Taejin, and he had not spoken to another human in 3 years. Taejin was a scientist. Some said he was a genius. Others said he was crazy. Both were probably true. He had been working on theories that other scientists called impossible. Theories about manipulating space-time, about pulling energy from other dimensions. When Taejin heard about the Valenti, he stopped his current work. He pulled up all his old research. Pages and pages of mathematics that no one else could understand, diagrams of machines that did not exist yet. He worked for 3 days without sleeping. Coffee and stimulants kept him awake. His eyes burned. His hands shook as he wrote. Finally, he had something. A theoretical design for what he called a stellar resonance matrix, a machine that could reach into pocket dimensions and channel massive amounts of energy, enough energy to stabilize a dying star. It was untested. It was dangerous. It required technology humanity did not have and resources they could not afford, but it might work. Taejin sent his research to Earth with a simple message. "Tell them I have an idea. Tell them to start building." On the Valenti homeworld, Elder Council member Threnas stood on a balcony overlooking her city. The sun above looked normal to ordinary eyes, but she could see the instruments, the readings that showed the truth. Their star was collapsing from within. Soon it would explode or fade to nothing. Either way, their world would die. Her assistant approached. "Elder Threnas, we are receiving messages from the humans. What do they say?" Threnas did not turn around. She kept watching her city. She wanted to remember it. "They say they are coming to help us. They say they will save our world." Now Threnas turned. "That is impossible. Even the collective cannot repair a star." "Yes, Elder, but the humans say they will try anyway. They say they remember Elder Serenus. They say they owe us a debt." Threnas felt something strange in her chest. The Valenti did not cry often, but she felt tears on her face now. "They remember," she whispered. "After all these years, they remember." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Collective received news of humanity's decision. In the great assembly halls, the elder races laughed. The proud Drelthari Empire sent a warning. Do not waste resources on this foolish quest. But humanity did not listen. They had made their choice. Captain Kang Dae-ho turned his ship toward Earth. He had cargo to deliver. But more than that, he had a purpose now. He would fly for the Valenti. He would fly because Elder Serenus had once flown toward death to save people she had never met. It was a debt that could never be fully repaid. But humanity would try anyway. That was what made them human. The announcement went out across all human networks at the same time. Earth's government spoke with one voice. Humanity would attempt to save the Valenti civilization. They would build the impossible machine. They would defy the Galactic Collective if necessary. The reaction from the galaxy was immediate and harsh. In the Drelthari Empire's throne world, War Prince Kalthos watched the human announcement with cold eyes. The Drelthari were warriors, conquerors, who had built their empire through strength and fear. They respected power. They did not respect sentiment. "The humans are fools," Kalthos said to his advisors. "They will waste their resources on a dead race. This is good for us. Let them weaken themselves." But his chief strategist was not so sure. "My prince, consider what this means. If the humans somehow succeed, it will inspire the lesser races. They will see that defying the collective's decisions is possible. Our control depends on others accepting that some things cannot be changed." Kalthos stood from his throne. He was nearly 8 feet tall, covered in armored scales. Then we will ensure they fail. Send agents to their worlds. Sabotage their efforts. The humans must learn that defying the natural order has consequences. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Choi Minha read the intelligence reports about Drelthari threats. She was not surprised. She had expected resistance. What surprised her was the scale of the human response. Every single human world had pledged support. Mining colonies were sending raw materials. Agricultural worlds were sending food. Factory stations were retooling their production lines. And the volunteers kept coming. More than 2 billion now. Engineers who abandoned good jobs. Doctors who left comfortable practices. Pilots who volunteered their personal ships. Even children were organizing fundraisers, selling homemade goods to contribute to the mission fund. Minha had never seen anything like it in her 40 years of service. She called a meeting with her senior commanders. We need to protect the construction site. The Drelthari will try to stop us, maybe others too. Admiral, we do not have enough ships, said Commander Park Jun-ho. Our fleet is designed for defense, not for guarding a construction project in deep space. Then we will use what we have, Minha said, and we will ask for volunteers from civilian vessels. Put out the call. The call went out. Within a week, 3,000 civilian ships had volunteered to help protect the construction. Cargo haulers, mining vessels, even luxury cruise ships. Their captains all said the same thing. We will not let the Valenti die alone. Captain Kang Dae-ho was one of the first to volunteer his ship. He arrived at New Busan Colony where the construction would take place. The colony had been chosen because it was on the edge of human space, closer to the Valenti system. When Dae-ho's ship docked at the station, he saw something that made him stop and stare. The station was transformed. Hundreds of ships were docked here now. Construction equipment floated in organized chaos around the station. Thousands of people in spacesuits worked on building something massive. Administrator Lee Hunwoo met Dae-ho at the docking bay. The young administrator looked tired but excited. Captain Kang, thank you for coming, Hunwoo said. We need experienced pilots like you. What do you need me to haul? Dae-ho asked. Everything. Materials from the mining colonies, parts from the factory worlds, supplies for the workers. This project is consuming resources faster than anything in human history. We are building a machine that has never been built before. Dae-ho looked out the window at the construction. Will it work? Scientist Yoon Tae-jin says it should. The stellar resonance matrix will channel energy from pocket dimensions to stabilize the Valenti star. But the mathematics are complex. The engineering is beyond anything we have attempted. And if it fails? Hyunwoo met his eyes. Then we will have tried. That is more than the collective was willing to do. In her medical center, Dr. Park Nari was working on a different problem. Some Valenti had already begun evacuating to human worlds. But Valenti biology was very different from human biology. The air they breathed was different. The food they ate was different. Even the gravity they needed was different. Nari had assembled a team of xenobiologists and medical experts. They worked day and night to create habitats where Valenti could survive on human worlds. It was difficult work, expensive work. But no one complained. A young Valenti named Kurnus arrived at her medical center one day. He was a child, only 10 years old in Valenti terms. His family had sent him ahead to safety while they stayed behind to help with the evacuation. Kurnus was scared. He did not understand why the humans were helping. In the Galactic Collective, species helped their allies for strategic reasons, for trade benefits, for political favors. But humans were spending everything to help the Valenti, and they asked for nothing in return. Nari sat with Kurnus in the specially built Valenti habitat. Through a translator, she tried to explain. A long time ago, your people saved us when we were dying, Nari said. One of your elders gave her life to save billions of humans. We remember her, we honor her, and now we will honor all Valenti by saving your people. But that was so long ago, Kurnus said. Those humans are all dead now. Why do you still care? Nari smiled. Because some debts are not measured in time. Some debts are measured in the heart. Your people taught us that when they saved us, even though it was dangerous. Now we teach the galaxy the same lesson. Far away on his research station, Yun Taijin was having problems. The stellar resonance matrix was more complex than he had first calculated. The energy requirements were massive. The dimensional mathematics were giving him headaches even after years of study. He had not slept properly in weeks. His assistants worried about him, but Taijin would not stop. Could not stop. Every day that passed was one day closer to the Valenti extinction. Then he had a breakthrough. He was working late one night, his fourth cup of coffee growing cold beside him when he saw it. A way to amplify the resonance effect using quantum entanglement. It would make the machine smaller, more efficient, more powerful. But it added a new problem. The machine would need a consciousness to guide it. A living mind interfaced directly with the dimensional energies. The calculations were too complex for computers alone. A human or Valenti would need to become part of the machine, and the energy flow would burn out that consciousness within minutes. It was a one-way trip. Taijin sat back in his chair. He had just invented a machine that required someone to die to operate it. The mathematics were clear. There was no other way. He sent his updated plans to Earth with a note. The machine will work, but it requires a pilot. The pilot will not survive. When the news reached Earth, Grandmother Kim called another council meeting. The room was silent as they read Taijin's report. "So we are asking someone to sacrifice their life," said the Secretary of Defense. "Who would volunteer for such a thing?" "I would," said Admiral Minha immediately. "So would I," said Administrator Hyunwoo. "And I," said Dr. Nari. "I think," said Grandmother Kim quietly, "that we will have many volunteers. That is the nature of humanity. We understand that some things are worth dying for." On the Valenti homeworld, Elder Council member Threnas received a message from Earth. It explained the plan. It explained the sacrifice required. Threnas called an emergency meeting of the Valenti Council. They were 12 elders, the wisest of their race. They read the human plan in silence. "They would give a life to save our world," said one elder. "This is unprecedented. No race has ever done such a thing for another." "It is illogical," said another. "The mathematical trade is poor. One life for billions is favorable, but to volunteer for such a fate is not rational." Thrina stood up. She was angry now, in a way Valenti rarely showed anger. "Do you remember nothing?" she demanded. Elder Cyranus made the same choice 156 years ago. She gave her life for the humans, not because it was logical, not because it was rational, but because it was right. The humans learned from her. They learned the value of sacrifice, of loyalty, of paying debts that can never be truly repaid. And now they teach us. The council was silent. "I will go to the humans," Thranas said. "I will thank them personally, and I will beg them not to sacrifice anyone for us. We are old. We have lived full lives. Let us face our end with dignity, not with the blood of humans on our hands." Thranas took a ship to New Busan. When she arrived, thousands of humans were there to greet her. They bowed to her. They called her honored elder. Some were crying. Administrator Hyunwoo brought her to see the construction. The stellar resonance matrix was taking shape now. It was enormous, a framework of metal and energy collectors that would be larger than a city when completed. "This is what you build for us," Threnas said. She was crying now too. "This is madness. Beautiful, impossible madness." "This is gratitude," Hyunwoo said. "This is what it means to remember. Your people saved us when they did not have to. We will save you because we cannot do otherwise. It is who we are." Threnas looked at the young administrator. "You risk everything for us. Your resources, your ships, your people, and now someone will give their life. This is too much. We cannot accept this." "You already did," Hyunwoo said gently. "Elder Cyranus already accepted this for you. She gave her life for strangers. Now we do the same. The debt is passed forward, from generation to generation. That is how humanity survives." The construction of the stellar resonance matrix continued day and night. New Busan colony had become the center of the largest engineering project in human history. Ships arrived every hour bringing materials, equipment, and more volunteers. Coordinator Bei Jiwan managed the chaos. She stood in the central command center, surrounded by screens showing every aspect of the project. 50 different construction teams, 300 supply ships, thousands of workers in spacesuits assembling the massive machine piece by piece. Jiwan had not slept more than 4 hours a night in weeks. Her assistants brought her food that she barely ate. Coffee kept her awake. Determination kept her focused. "Coordinator, we have a problem," said her assistant. "The quantum resonators from Factory Station 7 are delayed. Drelthari ships are blocking the trade routes." Jiwan felt anger rise in her chest. The Drelthari had been causing problems for weeks now. Their ships appeared near human convoys. They did not attack directly, but they created delays, made threats, tried to discourage the human effort. "Route the shipment through the Angler Nebula," Jiwan said. "It will take longer, but the Drelthari cannot track ships through that dense space." "Yes, Coordinator." Jiwan looked at the main screen. The matrix was 60% complete now. The massive framework floated in space near New Busan like a metallic flower. Energy collectors pointed outward in all directions. At the center, the dimensional gateway mechanism was still being assembled. That was the most complex part, the section that would tear open tiny holes in reality to channel energy from other dimensions. Scientist Yoon Taejin had arrived at New Busan 2 weeks ago. He rarely left the construction site now. He moved from section to section, checking every connection, every calculation. His hair was wild. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his mind was sharp as ever. "The resonance frequency must be exact," Taejin explained to the engineers. "Even a small error will cause the dimensional gateway to collapse. Or worse, it could tear a permanent hole in space-time." "How much worse?" asked one engineer nervously. "Bad enough to destroy several solar systems," Taejin said calmly. "So let us be very careful." The engineers worked with renewed focus after that. In orbit around New Busan, Fleet Admiral Choi Min-ha commanded the defense fleet. Her flagship, the Eternal Dawn, was surrounded by 300 military vessels and over 2,000 civilian ships. They formed a protective sphere around the construction site. Min-ha knew an attack was coming. The Drelthari were not subtle. They had been sending more ships to human space every week. Their war prince had made his intentions clear. Humanity must not succeed. Her communications officer spoke up. "Admiral, we are detecting movement at the edge of the system. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel." "How many?" "Scanning now." "Admiral, I count 47 ships. Drelthari military configuration." Minya stood from her command chair. "Battle stations. All ships prepare for combat. Do not fire first, but be ready." The Drelthari fleet moved closer. They stopped just outside weapons range. A communication request came through. "This is Sub-Commander Ralthos of the Drelthari Empire," said a harsh voice. "You are engaged in unauthorized activities. The Galactic Collective has forbidden intervention in the Valenti situation. You will cease construction immediately or face consequences." Minya opened a channel. "This is Fleet Admiral Choi Min-ha of Earth Defense Fleet. The Collective voted not to help, but they did not forbid others from trying. We are breaking no laws. We are simply doing what is right." "Right is irrelevant," Ralthos said. "Power is relevant." "You are weak. You cannot defend this construction. Withdraw now and we will allow you to leave peacefully." "No," Mina said simply. There was a pause. "Then you choose destruction." The Drelthari ships began to move forward. But before they could attack, something unexpected happened. More ships appeared at the edge of the system. Then more. Then dozens more. Minha's communications officer looked shocked. "Admiral, we are receiving identification signals. Ships from over 20 different species. They are not human. They are not Drelthari. They are here to help us," Mina finished. She felt something strange in her chest. Hope. One by one, the ships announced themselves. There were merchant vessels from the Turan Collective, small military ships from the Bishal Union, even a few scientific vessels from the scholarly Kelvin species. Not many ships from each race, but enough. Together they outnumbered the Drelthari fleet. A new communication came through. "This is Captain Vornas of the Toran Merchant Fleet. We have been watching the humans. We have seen their determination. We have been inspired by their loyalty. The Drelthari claim that power is all that matters, but the humans prove something else matters more. We stand with humanity. Similar messages came from the other ships. The Bashal commander said his grandfather had once traded with humans and found them honest. The Kelvin scientist said humanity's willingness to attempt the impossible deserved support. Subcommander Ralthos was silent for a long moment. Then his ships withdrew. 47 warships retreated before a mixed fleet of mostly civilian vessels, not because they feared the firepower, but because they feared what attacking would mean. If the Drilthari killed humans and their allies here, it would unite even more species against the Empire. Minha sat down heavily in her chair. Send thanks to all the ships that came to help us. Offer them whatever hospitality we can provide. Admiral, there is something else, said her communications officer. We are receiving hundreds of messages from across the galaxy. Individual citizens from dozens of species. They are sending donations, supplies, even their own technical knowledge. They are all saying the same thing. Humanity's example has moved them. For the first time in months, Admiral Choi Minya smiled. In the medical center, Dr. Park Nari was examining a young Valenti patient when she received news of the standoff. She felt relief wash over her. The project would continue. More Valenti refugees were arriving every day now. Her medical center had expanded to accommodate hundreds of them. It was crowded and noisy and chaotic, but it was also full of hope. Young Kurnas, the Valenti child she had met weeks ago, now helped translate for newly arrived Valenti. He moved between the human doctors and Valenti patients, explaining symptoms and treatments. He had learned basic human language remarkably fast. Dr. Nari, Kurnas said one day, I want to become a doctor like you. When my world is saved, I will study medicine. I will help others the way you help my people. Nari felt tears in her eyes. That would make me very happy, Kurnas. The galaxy needs more doctors who believe in helping others. Far away on the Valenti homeworld, Elder Threnus was coordinating the evacuation of vulnerable populations. The old, the young, the sick. They were being sent to human worlds where they could survive. But most Valenti refused to leave. They wanted to stay on their world until the end. To see if the humans would succeed or if this was their last sunset. Threnus understood. She felt the same way. She walked through her city every evening, memorizing every street, every building. Her world was beautiful, ancient. Her people had lived here for over 2 million years. Every stone had history. Every garden had been tended by generations. To lose it all was unbearable. But to see humans sacrifice everything to try to save it was almost more unbearable. It was too much kindness, too much loyalty. The Valenti did not know how to repay such a debt. One evening, a human ship arrived at the Valenti homeworld. It carried supplies and messages from Earth. The captain was a woman named Han So-min. She had organized much of the civilian volunteer effort on Earth. Threnus met with So-min in the council chambers. The human woman was young, perhaps 30. She had bright eyes and a determined expression. Elder Threnus, I bring greetings from Earth, So-min said, and I bring a message from our people. We want you to know that we are not doing this to make you owe us. We are doing this because Elder Serenus taught us what real kindness looks like. She did not save us to create a debt. She saved us because life is precious. We learned that from her. Now we live that lesson. Threnus looked at this young human. Your people are remarkable. But I must ask you something. What if the Matrix fails? What if all this effort, all this sacrifice is for nothing? So-min was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Elder Serenus could have failed too. The cure she developed might not have worked. But she tried anyway. That is what matters. Not success or failure, but the choice to try. The choice to believe that some things are worth every risk. You humans see the universe differently than we do, Threnus said. Than anyone does. You make choices based on emotion, on loyalty, on what you call honor. The rest of the galaxy makes choices based on logic, on benefit, on power. And which way has made the galaxy better? So-min asked gently. Has logic created friendship between species? Has power created trust? Or has it created fear and isolation? Threnus had no answer. Because the answer was obvious. The Galactic Collective was not really collective. It was a group of species who cooperated when beneficial and ignored each other when not. There was no real bond between them. No real loyalty until now. Until humanity showed them another way. Back at New Busan, the stellar resonance matrix was 90% complete. Test pilot Kwan Sungo ran simulations every day, preparing for the moment when the stellar resonance matrix was complete. It floated in space near New Busan like a monument to human determination. Every piece was in place. Every connection had been tested 100 times. Scientist Yoon Taejin had checked and rechecked every calculation. It was time to move it to the Valenti system, time to attempt the impossible. In the command center, Coordinator Bae Ji-won prepared the final logistics. The Matrix would be transported by a convoy of ships. Pilot Kwon Sung-ho would lead the flight, guiding the massive machine through faster-than-light travel. It was the most complex flying operation ever attempted. But there was another decision that needed to be made. Who would pilot the Matrix itself? Who would interface with the machine and guide the dimensional energies? Administrator Lee Hyun-woo stood before the council with a list of 10,000 names. 10,000 volunteers willing to die for the Valenti. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, even civilian workers. All saying the same thing. Choose me, let me be the one. How do we choose? Hyun-woo asked. How do we decide whose life to take? Grandmother Kim looked at the list. We choose someone who understands what this means. Someone who has lived enough to know the value of sacrifice. Someone who will not regret their choice. Captain Kang Dae-ho, said Fleet Admiral Choi Min-ha. She held up his application. He was one of the first to hear about the Valenti crisis. He has been flying supply missions for months. He is experienced, calm, and he has no family who would be left behind. He volunteers freely. Hyun-woo read Dae-ho's application. The captain had written simply, I have lived a good life. Let me end it doing something that matters. The council voted. It was unanimous. Captain Kang Dae-ho would pilot the Stellar Resonance Matrix. When Dae-ho received the news, he felt a strange mixture of emotions. Fear, yes, but also peace. Relief. For the first time in years, his life had clear purpose. He met with Dr. Park Nari for a medical evaluation. She examined him quietly, checking his neural patterns, his reflexes, his overall health. He was in good condition for a man his age. You could live another 30 years, Nari said. She was not looking at him. Or I could use the years I have left to save billions of Valenti, Dae-ho replied. Elder Seranus was younger than me when she made her choice. At least I have lived. Do you have any regrets? Nari asked. Dae-ho thought about it. I regret not doing something important sooner. But I am grateful I have the chance now. Nari finally looked at him. Her eyes were wet. You are very brave. No, Dae-ho said. I am just paying forward what was given to me. That is not bravery. That is responsibility. The convoy was assembled. At the center, the Stellar Resonance Matrix was attached to powerful engines. Around it, 300 military ships and 2,000 civilian vessels formed a protective formation. Admiral Minya commanded from her flagship, but this time the human fleet was not alone. Ships from 20 different species had volunteered to join the convoy. The Turan, the Bishal, the Kelvin, and others. Small numbers from each race, but together they nearly doubled the convoy's size. It was the largest multi-species fleet ever assembled outside of galactic collective control, and it had formed not through politics or treaties but through inspiration, through humanity's example. All ships report ready, said Minha's communications officer. We can depart when you give the order, Admiral. Mina opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Choi Minna to all ships. Today we attempt something that has never been done. We will carry hope across the stars. We will deliver humanity's promise to the Valenti. Some of you are human, some of you are not. But today we are all united by the same belief, that loyalty matters, that gratitude matters, that some debts must be paid no matter the cost. Today we show the galaxy what it means to remember. All ships engage faster-than-light engines. We fly for the Valenti. The convoy jumped to faster-than-light speed. The stars stretched and bent around them as they crossed vast distances in hours instead of years. But they were not alone in space. Deep in Drilthari territory, War Prince Kalthos received reports of the convoy's departure. He was furious. His agents had failed to stop the construction. His threats had failed to discourage the humans. And now ships from other species were helping them. This could not be allowed. If the humans succeeded, it would prove that defying the natural order was possible. It would inspire rebellions across the galaxy. The lesser species would stop fearing the Drilthari Empire. Assemble the fleet, Kalthos commanded. Our full battle fleet. We will intercept the human convoy before it reaches the Valenti system. We will destroy the machine and everyone who protects it. My prince, that would mean war with humanity and their allies. his advisor said carefully. Then there will be war. Kalthos said, better that than weakness. The humans must learn that sentiment is not strength, that loyalty to the weak is foolishness. We will teach them this lesson in blood. The Drelthari battle fleet was massive. 500 warships, each one larger and more powerful than human vessels. They were built for one purpose, destruction. They had conquered 20 species and crushed 100 rebellions. Now they moved to intercept the human convoy. 3 days into the journey, Admiral Minha received the warning. Admiral, long-range sensors detect a large fleet ahead. Drelthari configuration, they are moving to intercept us. Mina felt her blood run cold. How many ships? At least 500, Admiral. Maybe more. The bridge was silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The Drelthari fleet outnumbered them, outgunned them. If there was a battle, the convoy would be destroyed. But Mina had not spent 40 years in the fleet by giving up when things looked impossible. Send a message to all convoy ships, she said. The Drelthari are coming. Any ship that wishes to withdraw may do so now. We will not judge you. This has become more dangerous than anyone expected. She waited. No ships withdrew. Not one. Instead, more ships appeared. Human vessels that had been traveling separately to join the convoy. Civilian ships from other species who had heard about the Drelthari threat. They came from all directions, dropping out of faster-than-light travel to join the convoy. Communications officer Yu Sun-hee was reading messages as they came in. Admiral, we are receiving transmissions from all over. Ships are coming to help. They are saying they cannot let the Drelthari stop this. They are saying humanity's loyalty deserves to be protected. Even species that had not sent ships before were now contributing. Small vessels, mining ships, transport carriers. Anything that could fly was joining the convoy. Within hours, the convoy had grown to over 5,000 ships. Still not as powerful as the Drelthari fleet, but enough. Enough to make the battle costly. Pilot Quan Sung-ho prepared his squadron for combat. He was commanding the elite group that would protect the Matrix during any battle. 20 of the best pilots humanity had ever produced. Listen carefully, Sung-ho told his pilots. If fighting starts, our only job is protecting the Matrix. Nothing else matters. Not winning the battle, not surviving. Only getting that machine to the Valenti system. Understood? Understood, Commander, his pilots replied in unison. The two fleets met in empty space between stars. The Drelthari armada on one side, the multi-species convoy on the other. Between them, 3 days of travel to the Valenti system. War Prince Kalthos himself commanded the Drelthari fleet. His flagship was massive, bristling with weapons. He opened a communication channel to the convoy. Humans and allies, this is your final warning. Turn back now or be destroyed. You cannot win this battle, Admiral Mina responded. War Prince Kalthos, we have no desire for battle. We are on a mission of mercy. Let us pass. Mercy is weakness, Kalthos said. You would waste your lives for a dying race that has nothing to offer you. This is madness. This is loyalty, Mina replied. This is what separates civilization from barbarism. The Valenti saved humanity once. We will save them now. If you wish to stop us, you will have to destroy us. But know this, the galaxy is watching. Every species will see the Drelthari attack those who came in peace. Every species will see your empire for what it truly is. There was a long silence. Kalthos was calculating. If he attacked and won, he would prove Drelthari power. But he would also unite the galaxy against his empire. Every species would fear they were next. The diplomatic cost would be enormous, but if he backed down, he would show weakness. The empire's control depended on fear. You have chosen your fate, Kalthos said finally. Attack! The Drelthari fleet opened fire. Space erupted in violence. Energy weapons flashed across the void. Missiles streaked between ships. The convoy's vessels moved to intercept, forming a protective sphere around the Matrix. Sung-ho's squadron flew in complex patterns, staying between the Matrix and incoming fire. One of his pilots took a direct hit. The ship exploded in a brief flash of light. Stay focused, Sung-ho shouted. Keep the Matrix protected. The battle spread across thousands of kilometers. Human ships fought beside Tauran vessels. Bishal fighters covered Kelvin transport ships. Species that had never fought together before now coordinated their attacks instinctively, united by common purpose. Admiral Minha directed the fleet from her command chair. She was calm, focused, issuing orders with precision. Cruiser squadron, protect the left flank. Civilian ships, pull back to second ring. Do not waste your lives. But even as she fought, the convoy entered the Valenti system 3 days after the battle. Every ship was damaged in some way. Hulls were scarred by weapons fire. Some vessels limped along on emergency power. But they had made it. The stellar resonance matrix was intact. Captain Kang Dae-ho stood on the observation deck of Admiral Minha's flagship, looking at the Valenti homeworld. It was beautiful, blue and green covered in oceans and forests. Cities glowed on the night side. From space it looked peaceful, perfect. But Dae-ho could see the readings on the displays. The sun was dying. Its energy output was dropping. Within weeks the surface temperature would plummet. All life would freeze. The oceans would turn to ice. Everything would end. Are you ready? Administrator Lee Hyun-woo asked. He had traveled with the convoy to see the mission through to the end. As ready as I can be, Dae-ho said. How does this work exactly? Scientist Yoon Taejin joined them. He looked even more tired than usual, but his eyes were sharp. You will be placed in the interface chamber at the center of the matrix. Neural connections will link your consciousness to the dimensional gateway. You will feel the energies from pocket dimensions flowing through you. Your job is to guide those energies to direct them into the star's core. How long will it take? Dae-ho asked. 3 to 5 minutes. The energies will stabilize the star's fusion reactions. But the process will overload your neural system. You will feel pain at first. Then you will feel nothing. Your consciousness will dissolve into the energy flow. Dae-ho nodded slowly. Will I know if it worked? Before I die, will I know if the Valenti are saved? Taejin was quiet for a moment. Yes, the readings will be visible to you. You will know. Good, Dae-ho said. That is all I need. On the Valenti homeworld, billions waited. Elder Council Member Threnna stood on the steps of the council building, surrounded by her people. The sky above looked normal, but everyone could feel the change in temperature. It was colder than it should be. The sun was dimming. Valenti children pressed close to their parents. Old ones said prayers in ancient languages. No one spoke loudly. They all waited to see if the humans would succeed, or if this was their last day. The human convoy has arrived, announced a young Valenti official. They are positioning the machine now. A cheer went up from the crowd, but it was a nervous cheer, hope mixed with fear. Threnna looked up at her son. Elder Serenus, she whispered. Your children are trying to save us. Watch over them. In space, pilot Kwon Sung-ho and his squadron carefully maneuvered the matrix toward the Valenti sun. It was delicate work. The machine was enormous and fragile. One wrong move could shatter the billions of precise connections. Easy, Sung-ho said to his team. Slower, we have time. Be gentle with it. Sweat ran down his face despite the cool air in his cockpit. This was the hardest flying he had ever done, but his hands were steady. His team was perfect. After 2 hours, they had the Matrix in position, floating in space near the dying star. Matrix is in place, Sung-ho reported. Ready for activation. On the flagship, Admiral Minha gave the order. Begin interface procedure. Captain Kang Dae-ho, it is time. Dae-ho took a transport shuttle to the Matrix. As he flew toward it, he looked back at the fleet. Thousands of ships from dozens of species, all here because humanity had inspired them. All here because one Valenti doctor had saved humanity 156 years ago. The circle completes, Dae-ho said to himself. He docked with the Matrix and entered the interface chamber. It was a small room at the very center of the massive machine. The walls were covered with neural connection points. A chair sat in the middle, facing a display screen. Yoon Taejin was already there, making final adjustments. Everything is ready, he said. When you sit in the chair, the neural connections will activate automatically. The process will begin. There is no way to stop it once it starts. I understand, Dae-ho said. He held out his hand to Taejin. Thank you for building this, for making it possible. Taejin shook his hand. His eyes were wet. Thank you for piloting it. I am sorry I could not find another way. This is a good way, Dae-ho said. An honorable way. Now please go. I want to do this alone. Taejin nodded and left. Dae-ho was alone in the interface chamber. He sat in the chair. The neural connections activated immediately. Dae-ho felt them attached to his head, his neck, his spine. It did not hurt. It just felt strange, like falling asleep and waking up at the same time. The display screen in front of him lit up. It showed the status of the Matrix, the condition of the Valenti sun, and a communication channel to the flagship. Captain Deho, this is Admiral Minha. We are ready when you are. Deho took a deep breath. I am ready. Activate the matrix. The machine came to life around him. Deho felt it immediately. Energy from other dimensions began flowing through the dimensional gateway. He could feel it in his mind, in his very consciousness. It was like touching infinity. The energy was raw, chaotic, dangerous. His job was to shape it, to guide it, to direct it into the dying star's core where it would reignite the fusion reactions. Deho focused his will. The energy responded to his thoughts. He imagined it flowing toward the sun, imagined it diving deep into the stellar core. The matrix translated his thoughts into reality. The Valenti sun began to change. New energy poured into it. The fusion reactions stabilized. The star's output increased. On the homeworld, Thranis saw it first. The sun suddenly became brighter, warmer. The cold air began to warm again. It is working, someone shouted. The humans did it. They saved us. The entire planet erupted in celebration. Valenti danced in the streets. They sang songs. They cried tears of joy. Their world would live. Their children would live. In the interface chamber, Deho watched the readings. The sun was stable. The Valenti were saved. He felt joy flood through him, but he also felt pain now. The energy flowing through him was too much for any living being to contain. His neural system was burning out. He could feel his consciousness starting to fragment, to dissolve. Deho looked at the communication screen. He opened the channel to the flagship one last time. Admiral Minha, the mission is complete. The star is stable. The Valenti are saved. Captain Deho, you did it. You saved them. Minha's voice was breaking. Tell them, Deho said. His voice was becoming faint. Tell them we remembered. Tell them Elder Serenus would be proud. Tell them that loyalty is eternal. The pain was fading now. Deho felt himself becoming part of something larger. His consciousness expanded into the energy flow. He felt the star's fire, the matrix's power, the gratitude of billions of Valenti below. It was beautiful. His last thought was simple and happy. I did something that mattered. Then Captain Kang Deho was gone. His body remained in the chair, but his consciousness had dissolved into the dimensional energies. He had become part of the machine that saved a world. The matrix would run for 7 more hours, continuing to stabilize the star even without conscious guidance. Then it would shut down automatically. By that time, the Valenti sun would burn steadily for another 1,000,000 years. On the flagship, Admiral Minha stood silent. Around her, the crew wept. They had succeeded. But the cost was high. Across the fleet, every ship dimmed their lights for 1 minute. A moment of silence for Captain Kang Deho, who had given everything so that others might live. On the Valenti homeworld, Elder Thranis learned what had happened. She stood in the warm sunlight, feeling its heat on her face, and she wept for the human who had sacrificed himself for her people. We will remember you, she whispered. We will remember Captain Kang Deho for all the ages of our world. We will tell our children, and they will tell theirs, and your name will never be forgotten. This I swear, the galaxy watched. Thousands of ships had witnessed everything. They had seen humanity risk everything for a species that could offer nothing in return. They had seen one human give his life to save billions of Valenti. The report spread across civilized space faster than light. Every species heard the story. Every culture discussed it. What the humans had done challenged everything the galaxy believed about power and politics and survival. War Prince Kalthos of the Drelthari Empire received the news in silence. He had lost. Not in battle, but in something more fundamental. The humans had proved that loyalty was stronger than fear. That gratitude could reshape worlds. Within weeks, rebellions began in Drelthari territory. Client species refused to pay tribute. Conquered peoples remembered their own histories, their own heroes who had sacrificed for others. They asked themselves, if humans can be so loyal, why do we serve masters who rule through fear? The Drelthari Empire began to crumble from within. The Galactic Collective called emergency sessions. The elder races were frightened. The humans had shown the lesser species that change was possible, that the natural order was not permanent, that loyalty and sacrifice could challenge empires, but there was nothing the collective could do. Humanity had broken no laws. They had simply done what they believed was right, and in doing so they had changed the galaxy forever. 20 years passed. New Busan Colony had grown into a major hub. The place where the stellar resonance matrix was built became a memorial site. Millions of beings from hundreds of species came to visit it every year. In the center of the memorial stood two statues. One showed Elder Serenus, the Valenti physician who had saved humanity. The other showed Captain Kang Deho,